We're going to go through a Steve Fezzik Blackjack quiz, okay? Now, this is coming from two gentlemen that sit on this desk that together, combined, are banned from over 20 properties from playing Blackjack in the city of Las Vegas. We're going to set this up. We got a great graphic made. If you're sitting at home, you want to play along, okay? Steve Fezzik, go ahead, set this up, walk us through each question, because I'm going to write down my own answers.
Question number 1. You spike in natural. You got a blackjack. The dealer has an ace up. Insurance, you want even money, Kelly. Yes or no?
Okay, sorry. All right, sorry. I was writing down my own answers now. Repeat the question for everybody.
You've got a blackjack.
Yes.
Dealer has an ace up. Do you want to insure it and take even money?
Depends what the count is, but otherwise, and that's going to be an answer for, I think, a lot of these. Depends on what the count is, Steve. But if I don't know, I'm going to take even money.
Oh, you're going to take even money.
Okay. Going to take even money.
Excellent. Question number 2. You have a pair of 2s, and the dealer has a 3 up.
Against a 3, again, depends a little bit on the count here, but I'm going to split 2s against a 3. More times than not, I'm splitting 2s against the 3.
Excellent. You have a 16, and the dealer has a 10. Question number 3, 16 versus a 10.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to go on a little tangent here because I heard a dealer give this advice probably a couple months ago when I had some buddies in town playing blackjack, and one of them had no idea what he was doing. 16 against a 10. Guess what? It's the question when you're sitting at a blackjack table and somebody doesn't know how to play blackjack, they're going to ask you that question of what do I do here more than any other hand. And guess what? You're going to give them the right advice, and more times than not, they're going to lose. So it's the toughest part of giving advice in situations like this. 16 against 10. Completely depends on the count on that one, Steve. But if I'm just walking into a brand new shoe, brand new deck, it's going to be a hit for me on 16 every single time. The advice I heard from the dealer, though, telling my friend this, I almost wanted to stand up and give her a round of applause. She made the point of whatever you decide, don't flip-flop on your of where you want to go, whether you want to stand or hit, because mainly what you're going to do, stay consistent one way or the other, because you're going to piss off everybody else at the table who's trying to get a flow for how the cards are going.
It's great advice if you don't want to get into encounters at the table. Bad blackjack advice, but we'll address that. Question number 4, you have an ace 7, a soft 18 against the dealer ace.
Okay, so it depends on table rules here, right? But otherwise, I'm hitting on this more times than not.
Okay, and last question, pair of 7s against a dealer 10. By the way, this is the hardest blackjack quiz in the world. Pair of 7s against a dealer 10.
Okay, this one's a little unfair. I'm just going to give the answer because unfair only because me and you actually talked about this one a little bit more in detail, and I'm going to let you give the more professional answer. But this is a hit for me. 90+% of the time is a hit on the 7-7 versus 10.
Excellent. So, Kelly, you did very well. Let me go through this. It's going to be hard to score at home because it's complicated. First question, I got a blackjack. Do I take even money? The answer is basic strategy, no, because your expectation is poor, even though it's the surest bet in blackjack. So if you're not card counting, don't take the even money. If you are card counting, and you mentioned this, you get a bonus point for this if you mention it. If your true count is, I believe, above +3, you go ahead and do insure. Even if you got a crappy like 9 and a 7, you would take insurance. Second question, pair of 2s against a 3. Kelly, you said to split. I'm going to give you credit for a correct answer for that. You need to be able to double after split, though. And most places do allow you to double after split. I'm going to give you a bonus credit if you said, so if you said it depends on the rules of the casino. If I'm not allowed to double after split, then I'm just going to hit. You get a bonus point. I'm going to give you a further bonus point. If the count is very negative, then you would never split because you're going to turn one bad hand into 2 bad hands. So you get a bonus point for that as well.
Look at all the bonus points.
You can score 15 on this quiz.
I'm just realizing the first one I did answer completely the opposite way if I meant to. But this is great hearing you on the 2s. I'm splitting those almost every time against a 3. The count would have to be very, very far, I think,
and to be fair, I don't have the indice for at what point do I not split if double after split is like, because you split the 2s, you get an 8 or a 9, such a good hand.
Your point is huge on that, though. Of a lot of these are some of the rules at the table, and the double after splitting is a massive one for that situation.
So this is the Ryan and the Kramer question, the 16 against the dealer 10. They're talking about how angry they were when people were misplaying this hand. And it turns out it's really, really close. So you know what? It's so close that if you said hit or if you say that you would stand, I'm going to give you credit for a correct answer because it's like decimal points. Now, basic strategy does say to go ahead and hit it, But it's so close that if you play single deck and you have a 3-card 16, basic strategy is actually to stand because you're using up some of the little cards. If you go ahead and say...
That makes sense. Yeah.
If you say your card counting, if the count's positive, you stand. If it's negative, more little cards, you hit. I'm going to give you a bonus point also. If surrender is offered, it's actually a basic strategy to surrender and get back half your bet. So you see bonus points all over the place here.
We were discussing that one, Steve, yesterday. How many, because this is, I mean, surrender is one of the first questions you should ask when you sit down on at the table. Hey, is this allowed here, right? We were talking about this in Vegas, and this could apply a completely different rest of the country. In Vegas, what percentage of tables allow that? And I guess in my experience, it's been way more allowed in high limit rooms, not seen as much on the casino floor.
Yeah, and it should be offered more because players surrender way too much. It turns out you should surrender your 16 or your 15 against the 10, and everything else. Everything else is pretty marginal unless the count's really positive, which we'll address on our last question here. But let's move on to question 4. Ace-7 against the dealer ace. This is one of my favorite questions. Whether you hit or stand, I'm going to give you a credit for a point because it's a really, really close call. But as it turns out, it depends on the rules of the casino. If the casino stands on ace-6, which is pretty rare now, but they stand on soft 17, you got 18.
Right.
That makes it worth more. So definitely you want to stand then. But if the dealer hits the soft 17, it devalues your ace-7 such to the point you're actually supposed to hit ace-7 against an ace if the dealer hits the soft 17, which is the majority of places now. I'll give you a bonus point also if you're card counting and there's a bunch of 10s left, then you should be more likely to stand. If there's a bunch of little cards, you're more likely to hit. So very, very fascinating question from many facets.
That's one of my favorite ones, actually, situationally, because I think a lot of people immediately think, I got an 18. What are you talking about? I'm holding on to this. But no, it's in a lot of situations, I am hitting on that.
Yeah, ace-7 is one of the coolest hands because of how to play it and the like. And obviously, you would always hit it against a 9, obviously. Against the 9 or 10. Most people don't. Pair of 7s against a dealer 10. This is a really cool question. If you say hit, that is the basic strategy. So you get a point for hitting here. If you 2 possible bonus points. Single deck is really rare, but I love this situation. It turns out you stand in single deck, pair of 7s against a 10, because you've devalued the deck of 7s. You've used 2 of them up, so it's so darn hard to draw to 21 that the math geeks who run all the simulations have concluded you stand in a single deck 7s against a 10. If you mention that, I'm going to give you 3 bonus points. It's so obscure. If you mention surrender, if you're card counting and the true counts, I believe above +3, you're actually supposed to surrender 14 against a 10. I'll give you a bonus point if you came up with that as well. So you got like a possible 17 points from this quiz. You can add it up at home.
I don't know what it was out of, but yeah, 17 sounds good.
On the honor system, let me know whoever did above 13, and I'll send you out personally a prize.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, hold on then. We need to go over the scoring. If you're really going to give out a prize, how are you scoring exactly? How did I get to a 17?
You get the 3 on this last question. You get 1 point for hitting. You get 1 point for mentioning, the surrender option. You get 3 points for mentioning the single deck exception. So you could score 5 points on that last question.
Okay, got it. Love it. Want to ask you because I probably sat down at a single deck table for the first time in years, like a couple weeks ago, and I had the thought at some point where I'm like, you know what? I need to get up and leave this table because there are definitely different basic strategy rules here that I am really not as familiar with. So I left the table. We'll talk about this more on the other side because I think how many situations like we just went over change from a single deck to just even to a double deck, triple deck.
Sure.
This one from Andrew tweeting in. We got a lot of tweets about the Blackjack segment, so I don't know, maybe that's gonna have to be something a little bit more regular on this show. Who knows? He tweets in, was playing a few months ago and had a guy stand on 2-2 because, quote, I didn't want to take the dealer's bus card. I've never seen a dealer more confused in my life, and I'll never play $15 minimum again.
One caveat that I will say, and obviously this wasn't the case, it's always possible that he was somehow hole carding and the dealer was tipping the next card, or he was sequencing and he knew the dealer had a 10 underneath and he knew the next card was a 10. But the probability of that is like the probability of hitting a 14-team parlay.
I was going to say, Steve always looking out for the everyman out there. I'm going to guess, though, we got that tweet because there were about 3 other things he did before that that probably tipped this guy off. It was a good time to leave the table. You know what, though? We'll talk table etiquette real quick here, too. I understand you can get frustrated with other players at the table, but you know what? Especially here in Vegas, you're going to get a lot of drunk, dumb people coming up looking to play, have a good time. In my opinion, Steve, it's on you to be at the right table. So if you've got a problem with some of the people at the table, get up and go to a different table.
To use an analogy, it's like you're a golfer that shoots 90, like most basic strategy players.
Man, I wish I shot 90.
So be careful, like screaming at all these players, like at how stupid they are, and that they vary on their 16 against a 10, sometimes hit, sometimes stand, they're inconsistent, etc. For all you know, Tiger Woods might be sitting at first base, and you're like, and you're like criticizing how he swings his Big Bertha. All right.
And also, how many times have you seen that? The guy who gets angry at someone else's play, and I'm like, dude, I just saw you screw up 4 times in the past 10
People get
hands.
furious at me saying I'm the biggest fish they've ever seen. Sometimes they're probably right if I'm drinking.
Chris Heath, we love you. He tweets in, Golden Radio, hats off, gentlemen, on the Blackjack segment. Okay, all right. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. And Jim Devitt, he always tweets in as well. Great segment on Blackjack, one of the best ever. Well, thank you, Jim. We will take that. We got a bunch to get to before we end the show here. Wanted to follow up on, and this is probably more of a just like personal interest question because I don't really know how many properties we're really talking about with single deck Blackjack these days. But how many hands? We did talk about a couple there. How many hands, when it comes to basic strategy, would you say change when it goes to single deck Blackjack?
Boy, I'm going to get this wrong, so my critics will be all over me. I'm really not that good at Blackjack, but I know there's weird examples like Ace 8, you actually double against a 5, for instance. We talk about the pair of 7s against a 10 is a stand and not a hit. So there's 3 or 4 deviations such that it's just not that important. You don't really need to know that. Hey, why so much talk about Blackjack? Blackjack and craps are 2 great games where if you just know basic strategy in Blackjack, follow the card, you're at about a 0.5% disadvantage. In craps, if you take your 2 times or more odds, you're at about a 0.5% disadvantage. 0.6% if you take your 2 times odds. Contrast that by you play roulette, you're at a 5% disadvantage. Keno, close to 20%. Slot machines, 10%. So you're literally at 20 times the disadvantage on some of these other games, and that's why you should be playing Blackjack, or if you just want to have a good time, drink, not think, and play craps and take your odds and don't bet any of the long shots, and you'll be just fine.